So feel free, come up and grab a shot. I'm not kidding. And plus, I kind of needed to waste a little bit of time, so. We are in New Orleans. It's afternoon, you know. Yeah.
Are we playing a game?
No. People think we work in security or something. Alrighty, so feel free to come up and get a refill too. So anyway, welcome to how low and medium vols can own your site. Drink. Salute. Whew. I will warn you, this talk is a little bit basic, but I think it's pretty good. So basically, this is just a flesh wound. Can you all see the screen? Okay, cool. Alrighty, so a little bit about me. My name is Gravois. You can find me on Twitter at Static Effect. You can also send hate mail, death threats, or telling me how awesome I am at staticeffect@staticeffect.com. And I'm an application security enthusiast. I'm a member of the perimeter scanning services team at Rapid7, a breaker of web apps, and of course, a owner of a majestic beard. So we just say, please hold your tomatoes until the end of the talk. If you do have any questions or clarifications or maybe something to add, feel free. Just don't be this guy. So basically, what are we covering? Covering a little bit of background about me. We're going to talk about the differences between network security and application security. Brief overview of, in my opinion, what application security is. Application security overview. Why is AppSec so hard? A few examples of low, medium, and informational findings. And basically, we can just go over it at the end. And I kind of like to, if we have time, maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion. So here we go. Okay, so basically, I came up with this talk. So I was working with our perimeter scanning services team, and I'd see a lot of different vulnerability findings. However, many tended to be informational, low, or medium vulnerabilities. And the most common customer responses we get tend to be, this is a low severity finding and is more than likely, doesn't affect me, my network, my web application, my customers, my data. And nobody would really ever look to see how this affects them. Being part of the perimeter scanning services team, to give you some overview, is mainly, PCI scanning, which we all hate. Nobody likes PCI. But the good part is you get a really awesome sampling of what people have out there. So this is just basically based on a lot of what I see out there. So do we have any application security people out there? No? None? Center? Sort of, kind of? Josh? Yeah? Okay. So anyway, that's good then. So there we go. So basically, I found this was kind of hilarious. I found this on Server Fault, an example of application security versus network security. Basically, the guy was talking about a simple way to think of it is devices you have in your kitchen. So like a microwave, a toaster, or a blender. And the network level is the connection, maybe the electricity in your example, or the application level is specific to the thing, like the buttons or something like that. So in our example, the network level attack would be like cutting the power or sending the wrong voltage, and an application level attack would be like putting something, like putting tinfoil in the microwave. I thought that was pretty funny, so so let's put some tinfoil in the microwave, shall we? Historically, with network security, what we're looking at is a focus on the network, the firewalls, and the perimeter. Vulnerabilities that we find in network security tend to be known as CVEs. and I say a fairly reliable rating system, that we get from either NIST or MITRE. It's usually shaped around application level things, like for OSs, like we see with Red Hat or Microsoft or something like that. Vulnerability management programs today are basically shaped around network security. So basically, I promised this I would use a stock hacker photo on my slides, so I just kind of threw this in there. So basically with NetSec, the best example that I like to use is CVE 2008-4250, which most of y'all probably know as MS08-067. And basically, it has a CVSS score of a 10. It's definitely network exploitable, and pretty much we all know that we can fire up Metasploit, get Metinterpreter, and we can get a remote shell with it. So then we come to, well, what is AppSec? AppSec is basically what an organization does to protect its critical data from external threats by ensuring the security of all the software used to run the business, whether it's built internally, bought from a third party, or downloaded. Application security helps identify, fix, and prevent security vulnerabilities in any kind of software application. So it brings us to, well, why is AppSec so hard? The main issue is that no two web applications are the same. Even if you look at them coming from like Facebook or anybody else that any of the larger sites, you have several different people using them, using lots of different libraries, and you will almost never see two of the same applications. Basically, most DAS tools and static analysis tools are using CWEs, which tend to be a bit looser than CVEs. So basically, we're going to like the MITRE site, and we're seeing kind of some recommendations. It's very loosely worded, and it's very generic titling, unlike the CVEs are. So basically, a web vulnerability is an unintended flaw or weakness in the application that leads it to process critical data in an insecure way. So basically, essentially, when you're looking at web applications, we're finding 0 days within the code per application. Fun fact, about 70% of all applications had at least one vulnerability classified as one of the top 10 web vulnerabilities from OWASP. So we have to stop and look and say, well, why are these things being missed? I think the first thing is just a lack of training to know when to identify anything with application security. There's no time. A lot of people are running really lean these days, so you've got like 2 guys, and if you guys are anything like me, somebody hands you a book and says, here, I need this up and running, or congratulations, you're now the web security guy. So I think we can all kind of sympathize with that. Sometimes people just don't care. Why should I do web application security? I'm the security guy. I do IR. I do, network security. I don't really care about that. And I think the saddest one that I usually see is I just want to check a checkbox, whether it's for PCI, SOX, or HIPAA. And I think that's the biggest one that I've always run into is having customers just say, "Oh, well, I don't need to fix that. I'll accept the risk." And you're just like, "Are you kidding me? Need to fix that." So why are we even talking about this? So basically, the whole thing is I just kind of wanted to give you all a background on how I feel about application security and kind of let you know what we're leading up to, which is a few examples that I have. So basically, the first example is user credentials sent in clear text. You do see this. Basically, it's pretty easy to set up a Wireshark to go ahead and capture credentials or to see if they're being sent securely or not. So as you can see, we're seeing the user credentials right there. So basically, why is this bad? It's I now know your username and your password. So even if you pull it off of one site, the reuse rate is between 12 and 20% for most username and password combos. So you're basically harvesting credentials, and you can go ahead and slam them into other sites. This one's kind of fun. I don't know why it's considered a low, but the session token in the URL. And as you can see, all these examples have the session token in the URL. So the question is why is that bad? So basically, do you guys all know what a session token does? Anybody that doesn't know what a session token does? I don't believe you. Basically, session token or a session cookie is what keeps track of your login information. So basically, you're looking at your username, your password. It keeps all the information about you being logged in. So why is this bad? Basically, all we need to do is just copy this URL from whatever system you're on. I can go to any browser, depending on the session token. If you're doing a good job, then you will have a very low session token timeout. If not, then hey, we can go ahead and just copy this URL and paste it into another browser. So basically, I just grabbed your bank account, I just grabbed your Amazon account, I just grabbed your Twitter, anything like that, as long as I can do it in a fast enough time. This is my personal favorite, HTTP debug turned on in production. Basically, as you can see here, I had to redact a lot of this stuff, but it's giving me the server name, it's giving me the server address, it's giving away DB information. So why is this bad? Basically, HTTP debug is designed to go ahead and be for testing in a QA environment. It should never be turned on in production. So basically, you could send the HTTP debug command to it, and it will return some very interesting information, whether it's about the API, whether it's about the database connection, or that type of information. This is basically how Patreon was breached. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that breach at all, but they had debug turned on. Somebody was able to get in and do a SQL injection and grab all the data. So this one is information leakage. And as you can see from this one is pretty detailed. So it's showing me the software version, basically showing me the site, the program. It's telling me the username and the role that they have. It's giving me a pretty good error message as well. And a lot of times people will put things in there like what version of IIS they're on, what version of ASP.NET they're on, what version of Apache they're on. And so you kind of think to yourself, well, why is this bad? Well, it just makes my job a little bit easier. So now I just know what OS, what web server version, the database version you're using. So basically it's possible for me to use this information to go look up what out-of-date IIS server you're running. Nginx, PHP. We just go to our old friend exploit database. We look up the version number and pretty much pop out a bunch of stuff. You'd be surprised at how much really old stuff people have out there in production. There's people that are still using IIS 6, really outdated versions of PHP. Personal favorite is we all know WordPress. Those are always fun to find out there in the wild. So it's kind of why it's always recommended to do like a generic type of error message as opposed to doing just the one that pops up when you install Windows. This one, WebDAV enabled. Basically, this was enabled by default in a lot of the older IIS versions. You don't really see it enabled by default anymore, but people for some reason still turn it on in production. This one's pretty fun to find. What can I do with it? I can edit files. Oh, there's a typo in there. Nice. You can edit files. You can deface websites. That's supposed to say remote code execution. I don't know. And then I haven't found a really fun tool that will enable you to deface websites. You just find WebDAVs enabled, you download the tool, you point it at the server, and you can kind of put whatever JPEG you want in there, and it'll just completely deface the site for you. And we still see these on a daily basis. Again, don't turn it on. My personal favorite's local file inclusion too, or one of my personal favorites. Why is this bad? Basically, you can gather usernames. You can go ahead and look at the Etsy password file. You can harvest useful information from the log files, like say Apache logs, error.log, or Apache logs, access.logs. And you can actually remotely execute commands by combining this vulnerability with some other attack vectors, such as file upload vulnerabilities or log injection. The best example of something like this is the Joomla component vulnerability. Basically, you can just get a cross-site scripting attack off of that. You can do some other nasty stuff as well. And I think my personal favorite is content type is not specified. This one is actually a very low vulnerability. It's called an informational. And as you can see, there's no content type specified whatsoever in the header response, or any CSP setup as well. So basically, if content type is not specified, you're definitely going to have a bad time. And basically, so failure to explicitly specify the type of the content served by the requested resource can allow attackers to conduct cross-site scripting attacks by exploiting the inconsistencies in content sniffing techniques employed by the browser, and can also be the gateway to unrestricted file upload. So this one is a perfect example of just recently somebody was looking at CDNs in Facebook. They were actually able to bypass the filters through the CDN to go ahead and upload a file to Facebook to get a cross-site scripting attack. So this would be the best example would be like if I'm putting up a file. So instead of like evil.php, I just changed the file extension to it. So it would be evil.php.jpg. File, the server's not checking the file. And basically you upload that, you get a shell. I now own your site. Another good one too is just recently doing a business logic test. We were able to, instead of UTF-8, the site wasn't enforcing UTF-8. We used UTF-16. We bypassed their login. We were able to get a file upload, and we actually got a hanging pointer. And we were able to go in and actually start deleting the customer's CSS files. We probably could have done worse, but it was a POC, and we weren't in there trying to do too much damage. So that one was a lot of fun. Let's see. So basically, the too long didn't read version. So basically, we covered the differences between network security and application security. Showed you a few examples of the low, the medium, and the info rank vulnerabilities and how they could be used. So basically, in short, don't discount vulnerabilities just because it is ranked low by your scanner. Knowing your application is key. And personally, I think that I think I've talked to a few of you is just trying to work more with the developers of our applications to go ahead and try to get them more involved in security. Let them know that they are also involved and they have a lot invested in the security of the web applications, so that we have less time to do things nowadays. So if we can get the web dev team, the IT teams, and everybody else to kind of pitch in and realize that security is something that everybody needs to do and not just the security people, then I think it'll make our lives a lot easier. And so basically, knowing is half the battle. So I probably blew through this way too quickly. Yeah, I kind of did. So does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that they want to talk about right now? Or does anybody want to come up and get another shot? Come and get a shot. Right here, bro.
So, I mean, normally you're going to prioritize based upon high, medium, and low. We talk and talk and don't discount low, medium, and vulnerabilities. The web dev team still only has so much time. And if we're not going to fill in the highs, how do we tell them which lows to go over?
I mean, that tends to be the whole thing is we have to investigate a little bit more and kind of look at how the web application works, and kind of look at where that low vulnerability finding is. I mean, we're all going to see a lot of static. It tends to be a little bit harder to figure that stuff out sometimes. But I mean, looking at the web app as a whole, doing static analysis on it as well as doing dynamic analysis on it. And then kind of just trying to fill the holes. I mean, that's really all we can really do. It's just mainly, I think my point is that I think we just can't go ahead and discount everything. It's easier to do that, when we're looking at like a TCP timestamp on the network. That's one thing. But when we're looking at like, not doing, content filtering or anything like that on a web page, I mean, it's a completely different finding and it just has a higher impact. So it's just, I think it's the point of getting the dev teams more involved in the process and kind of getting them to map out the application and try to look more at like the pitfalls or the vulnerabilities that they're churning out with their code. As far as like tools, I mean, you've got a lot out there. You've got like Veracode, you've got checkmarks, you've got, as far as like static analysis, HP has a static analysis tool as well. And then you're also looking at DAS tools. Like obviously I'm on the AppSpider team, so I'll plug my product. We're not supposed to, but hey, whatever. And there's just tons of DAS tools out there as well. Just as Leif said in the last talk, OWASP is an awesome organization to get involved in. I love going to their meetups, and their mantra is definitely secure code. So I definitely always recommend having people get more involved in that, looking at the release guides and looking at the documentation, just to try to be better about what we're coding and what's churning out into a production environment. So, anybody else? Nothing? All right. Well, I'm gonna let y'all out a little bit early then. There's still a half a bottle of Jack up here. You're in New Orleans. It's free. It's free booze. So come on up and thanks for coming and listening to me.